A tiny island sitting directly above the deepest abyss in the entire Atlantic Ocean, a bay that glows electric blue in the dark, brighter than anything else on Earth. A place that is technically America, but Americans can't even vote there. Today we're exploring 40 mind-blowing facts about Puerto Rico that will completely change how you see this island. Fact 1. The abyss beneath. Here's something that should terrify every swimmer on Puerto Rico's northern coast. Just 100 miles offshore, the ocean floor drops into the Puerto Rico Trench. It plunges to 27,493 feet deep. That's the Milwaukee Deep, the lowest point in the entire Atlantic Ocean. Mount Everest could sink into it and still have more than a mile of water above its peak. This island paradise is literally perched on the edge of the deepest hole in the Atlantic. Fact 2. The glowing bay. What if I told you there's a bay where the water catches fire, but it's alive? Mosquito Bay on the island of Vieques holds a Guinness World Record. It's the brightest bioluminescent bay on the entire planet. 1 gallon of water contains up to 700,000 microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates. Stir the water with your hand, and it explodes in electric blue light. There are only 5 bioluminescent bays in the world. 3 of them are in Puerto Rico. Fact 3. America's secret rainforest. Every national forest in America is temperate, except one. El Yunque National Forest in Puerto Rico is the only tropical rainforest in the entire U.S. National Forest System. It receives up to 240 inches of rain every year. Some parts never dry out. It houses 225 tree species. 23 of them exist nowhere else on Earth. One tiny island holds a forest that the rest of America simply cannot replicate. Fact 4. The island that swapped its name. Here's something that sounds like a clerical error, but it's real history. When the Spanish arrived in 1493, they named the island San Juan Bautista, and the capital port town was named Puerto Rico, meaning rich port. Then somewhere along the way, the names got swapped. The island became Puerto Rico, the city became San Juan. An entire country is named after what used to be just a harbor. Fact 5. The plate collision zone. Puerto Rico isn't just near a fault line, it's sitting on top of one. The island lies directly at the collision boundary between the Caribbean plate and the North American plate. That boundary is constantly grinding, deforming, and reshaping the island from below. In January 2020, a magnitude 6.4 earthquake shook the entire southern coast. Thousands were left homeless. Some slept outside for weeks. The ground under Puerto Rico is never truly still. Fact 6. Citizens who can't vote. Every Puerto Rican born on the island is a full U.S. citizen. They carry an American passport, they serve in the U.S. military, they pay Social Security taxes, but they cannot vote for the President of the United States. Puerto Rico has no voting representatives in Congress. It has a resident commissioner, one person who can speak but cannot cast a vote. Over 3 million American citizens live in a political arrangement unlike anything else on Earth. Fact 7. The diagonal measurement problem. This one sounds fake, but it's completely true. When you drive in Puerto Rico, road signs show distance in kilometers, but speed limits are posted in miles per hour. The island uses both the metric system from its Spanish colonial past and the imperial system from U.S. rule. No one ever fully switched over, so both systems just coexist. Welcome to the only place where you measure distance one way and speed another. Fact 8. Midpoint geographic revelation. More Puerto Ricans live outside Puerto Rico than inside it. An estimated 5.8 million people of Puerto Rican origin live on the U.S. mainland. The island's population? Roughly 3.2 million, and shrinking. After Hurricane Maria in 2017, an estimated 300,000 people left and never came back. Puerto Rico is a nation whose people increasingly live somewhere else. It's a diaspora in slow motion, happening in real time. Fact 9. The oldest colony. Puerto Rico has been under foreign control since 1508. That makes it the world's oldest continuously inhabited colony. First Spain, then the United States. Over 500 years of colonial rule, unbroken. No other inhabited place on Earth has been under foreign dominion for longer. And its status today, neither fully a state nor an independent country, means the question is still not resolved. Fact 10. The missing frog that breaks ecosystems. The coquille is a tiny tree frog, barely an inch long. but its call, a piercing two-note "Coqui," can reach 90 decibels. That's as loud as a lawnmower, coming from a creature the size of your thumbnail. Puerto Rico has 17 native species of coqui. 16 of them are found nowhere else. When the frog was accidentally introduced to Hawaii, it disrupted the entire ecosystem, and locals spent millions trying to eradicate it. A frog so powerful, it became an ecological crisis on another island. Fact 11. The rum capital of the world. Puerto Rico produces roughly 70% of all rum sold in the United States. The Bacardi distillery in Cataño near San Juan is the largest rum distillery on the planet. It produces around 100,000 liters of rum every single day. More rum flows out of this one building than almost anywhere else on Earth. And none of it counts as an import. It's made in American territory. Fact 12. No natural lakes. Puerto Rico is an island surrounded by water, and it has 0 natural lakes. Not one. The island's geology never formed the basins needed to hold standing fresh water. Every lake you see on a Puerto Rico map is man-made, built by damming rivers. An island with over 50 rivers, 300 miles of coastline, and no natural lakes at all. Fact 13. The cave system under your feet. Beneath the northwest corner of Puerto Rico, an entire underground world exists. The Rio Camuy Cave Park contains one of the largest cave networks in the Western Hemisphere. The underground river that carved it, the Rio Camuy, is the third largest subterranean river on Earth. Chambers so vast they could swallow a 20-story building. People live, drive, and farm directly above a geological cathedral they've never seen. Fact 14. The world's only Galapagos of the Caribbean. 50 miles off Puerto Rico's western coast, barely anyone lives. Mona Island is called the Galapagos of the Caribbean. It's home to giant Mona iguanas, a species found nowhere else. The island has no permanent human population. You need a special permit just to visit. There is no hotel, no road, no electricity. A wild, protected island, floating in isolation just an hour's boat ride from a modern city. Fact 15. The triple bio bay monopoly. Remember those bioluminescent bays from earlier? Let's go deeper. Of the 5 known bioluminescent bays in the entire world, 3 are in Puerto Rico: Mosquito Bay, Laguna Grande, and La Parguera. No other country or territory comes close to this concentration of natural light shows. Scientists still don't fully understand why the conditions here are so uniquely perfect. Fact 16. The forest that predicted climate. El Yunque has been studied by climate scientists for decades. In recent years, its treetops have been rising, literally getting taller, as carbon dioxide levels increase. But the forest's biodiversity is also collapsing from extreme storm damage. Hurricane Maria in 2017 stripped 40% of El Yunque's canopy in a single night. This forest is both a product of climate change and a warning signal for it. Fact 17. The volcano that built everything. Puerto Rico didn't always exist. It was built from underwater fire. About 190 million years ago, a now extinct volcano erupted from the ocean floor. Layer by layer, eruption by eruption, the island rose above the waves. The entire landmass, all 3,500 square miles, is hardened volcanic material. Every mountain, every valley, every beach was born from a volcano that no longer exists. Fact 18. The population density shock. Puerto Rico is roughly the size of Connecticut, but Connecticut has 3.6 million people. Puerto Rico has 3.2 million. Both are similarly dense, but Connecticut is a U.S. state with full representation. Puerto Rico has the 3rd highest population density in U.S. jurisdiction. Only Washington, D.C. and New Jersey are more crowded. All that density, and still no voting senators. Fact 19. The island that competes as a country. Puerto Rico is not a country, but the Olympics doesn't care. Puerto Rico has competed as its own independent nation in the Olympics since 1948. It has its own flag, its own anthem, its own team. In Miss Universe, Puerto Rico has won the crown 5 times, more than most actual countries. In the boxing ring, on the track, in the pageant hall, Puerto Rico fights as a nation, everywhere except the ballot box. Fact 20. The shrinking population crisis. Every year, Puerto Rico gets smaller. Not in size, but in people. The population has been declining for over a decade. Hurricane Maria accelerated it catastrophically. Then COVID hit. Between 2010 and 2020, Puerto Rico lost 11% of its entire population. Schools are closing. Towns are emptying. Houses sit abandoned. It's one of the most dramatic population collapses in any American jurisdiction in modern history. Fact 21. The deepest trench tsunami risk, that Puerto Rico Trench from Fact 1, it's not just the deepest point in the Atlantic. It's one of the most geologically unstable zones in the entire Caribbean. Scientists have identified evidence of enormous underwater landslides along its walls. If one collapses, tsunami waves could strike Puerto Rico's northern coast in under 10 minutes. There would be almost no warning time. A paradise living in the shadow of an ancient, sleeping threat. Fact 22. The coconut lie. Here's something that shatters a postcard cliche. Coconut palms are not native to Puerto Rico. In fact, they are not native to any territory in the Americas. The Spanish imported the first coconut trees in 1542 from somewhere in Southeast Asia or the Pacific. Every iconic Caribbean beach scene, the palm trees, the coconuts falling into white sand, was imported. The most recognizable image of the tropics is a cultural transplant. Fact 23. The road to nowhere, in the sky. Puerto Rico's famous Route 52 climbs through the Cordillera Central so steeply that parts of it feel vertical. The road connects the densely populated northern coast to the dry southern coast across mountain terrain. In certain stretches, you rise from sea level to 2,500 feet and back down in under 30 minutes. The landscape shifts from tropical rainforest to arid desert in the time it takes to finish a podcast episode. No other U.S. jurisdiction packs that kind of climate transition into so short a drive. Fact 24. Poverty deeper than Mississippi.
Mississippi is the poorest state in the United States.
Puerto Rico's poverty rate is nearly double Mississippi's. Roughly 43% of Puerto Ricans live below the federal poverty line. Yet Puerto Rico cannot vote for the lawmakers who determine its federal funding. It's a level of poverty more associated with developing nations, inside American jurisdiction. Fact 25. The debt that broke a government. In 2016, Puerto Rico declared what was effectively a form of bankruptcy. Its public debt had ballooned to $72 billion, the largest municipal debt crisis in U.S. history. Not a city, not a county, an entire island bankrupt. The federal government created a financial oversight board to control Puerto Rico's budget. For years, that unelected board had more power over Puerto Rico's finances than its own elected governor. Colonialism didn't end. It just changed its paperwork. Fact 26. The Atlantic's most dangerous corner, the stretch of open water north of Puerto Rico, has earned a brutal reputation. The Bermuda Triangle's southwestern edge overlaps with this region. Combine that with the Puerto Rico Trench's unpredictable geology, Atlantic hurricane formation zones, and deep water currents, and you have one of the most geologically and meteorologically volatile ocean corners on Earth. Sailors have known for centuries. The charts warn you. Fact 27. The street that runs backward. Old San Juan is built on a grid, but the grid defies logic. The cobblestone streets are paved with adoquines, blue-gray stones made from iron furnace slag. Brought from Spain as ship ballast, they were dumped and repurposed as road material. Centuries later, they still glow faintly blue-gray in the sunlight. Every footstep in Old San Juan is walking on industrial waste from a Spanish forge. Fact 28. The fortress that never fell. El Morro Fortress in San Juan guarded Puerto Rico for over 400 years. It was attacked by Sir Francis Drake. He failed. It was attacked by the Earl of Cumberland. He took it briefly, then disease forced him to abandon it. The Dutch Navy bombarded it in 1625. They failed. El Morro is one of the most attacked and most unconquered fortresses in the entire Western Hemisphere. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you can walk its ramparts for $10. Fact 29. The radio telescope that watched the universe. Until 2020, Puerto Rico was home to the largest radio telescope ever built. The Arecibo Observatory, with a 1,000-foot dish, sat inside a natural karst sinkhole in the island's interior. For 57 years, it was humanity's greatest ear aimed at the cosmos. It searched for extraterrestrial intelligence, it tracked asteroids, it mapped the universe's hydrogen. Then in December 2020, after years of neglect and hurricane damage, it collapsed. One of humanity's greatest scientific instruments, gone in 40 seconds. Fact 30. The parrots that almost disappeared. The Puerto Rican parrot is one of the most endangered birds in the world. By 1975, only 13 wild individuals remained on the entire planet. 13. A decades-long breeding program slowly brought the numbers back from the edge. By 2017, the wild population had recovered to around 56 birds. Then Hurricane Maria hit El Yunque directly. The wild population collapsed again. A species that has spent 50 years fighting to exist, on a single island that keeps getting hit.
Fact 31. The island that doesn't use its time zone right. Puerto Rico is in the Atlantic time zone, UTC 4, always. But here's the quirk. It never observes daylight saving time. In winter, Puerto Rico is 1 hour ahead of the U.S. East Coast. In summer, it's the same as the East Coast. Every spring and fall, the entire business and travel relationship between Puerto Rico and New York silently shifts, an island on its own schedule. Fact 32. The hurricane that rewrote history. When Hurricane Maria struck on September 20th, 2017, it made landfall as a Category 4. It was the worst natural disaster in Puerto Rico's recorded history. The official death toll was initially reported as 64. Later studies estimated the actual death toll at nearly 3,000 people. The power grid was completely destroyed. Some areas had no electricity for nearly a year. The gap between 64 and 3,000 is one of the most debated figures in American disaster history. Fact 33. The smallest U.S. island with the longest beach. Culebra, a tiny Puerto Rican island with barely 2,000 residents, has one of the best beaches on Earth. Flamenco Beach is consistently ranked among the top 10 beaches in the world. It curves for a full mile in an almost perfect crescent. The water is so clear you can see the bottom at 20 feet depth. And it belongs to a tiny municipality so remote it doesn't even have a traffic light. Fact 34. The U.S. military's secret island. For decades, the island of Vieques was used by the U.S. Navy as a live-fire bombing range. From 1941 to 2003, the Navy dropped everything from conventional bombs to depleted uranium rounds. The people of Vieques were squeezed into a narrow strip of land between two military zones. Cancer rates on Vieques are significantly higher than the Puerto Rican mainland average. In 2003, after sustained protests, the Navy finally left. But the ordinance in the soil and the cancer in the community didn't leave with them. Fact 35. The island that produces Olympic champions. Punching above its weight, Puerto Rico has won medals at nearly every Summer Olympics since 1948. A territory with no voting rights in Congress has beaten fully sovereign nations on the medal podium. In 2016, Monica Puig won Puerto Rico's first Olympic gold medal ever, in tennis. In a country that wasn't even called a country, she became a national hero. The entire island watched. The streets of San Juan erupted. For one night, nobody cared about politics or poverty or debt. Fact 36. The forest that gets two climates at once. El Yunque sits on the northeast corner of Puerto Rico, directly in the path of Atlantic trade winds. The northern slopes receive rain almost every single day. The southern slopes, just a few miles away and shielded by the ridge, are comparatively dry. Two completely different ecosystems, same mountain, same national forest. It's a micro-scale version of how the entire island works. Rain-soaked north, arid south, divided by a single spine of mountains. Fact 37. The deepest neighborhood in the Western Hemisphere. Just off the coast of Puerto Rico to the south is the Venezuelan basin of the Caribbean Sea. It descends to over 16,000 feet. To the north, the Puerto Rico Trench hits 27,000 feet. This island is sitting between two of the deepest ocean basins in the Western Hemisphere. Below Puerto Rico, in every direction, the ground drops away into some of the most extreme depths on the planet. It's essentially a mountain peak surrounded by twin abysses. Fact 38. The Backyardigans and the birthplace of a sound. Puerto Rico didn't just export rum and boxing champions, it exported a music genre, reggaeton. The genre that currently dominates global pop charts was born in Puerto Rico in the early 1990s. Artists like Daddy Yankee, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin built their empires on a sound developed in San Juan's housing projects. Today, Puerto Rican artists regularly top global Spotify charts. An island of 3 million people shapes the soundtrack of a planet of 8 billion. Fact 39. The island that exists in legal limbo. In 1901, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on a series of cases about Puerto Rico called the Insular Cases. The court decided that Puerto Rico was foreign in a domestic sense, not fully American, not foreign, somewhere in between, legally undefined. Those cases have never been overturned. A 1901 ruling about colonial territories still governs the lives of 3 million American citizens today. The legal architecture holding Puerto Rico in place is older than commercial aviation. Fact 40. The vote that changed nothing. In June 2023, Puerto Ricans voted in a non-binding referendum on statehood. Over 52% voted for statehood. The U.S. Congress, which has the sole authority to grant statehood, took no action. It was the sixth such vote in Puerto Rican history. 6 times, Puerto Ricans have expressed a preference for their political future. 6 times, that preference has remained legally irrelevant. From the deepest trench in the Atlantic to the brightest bay on Earth, from a forest that shouldn't exist in America to a fortress that refused to fall for 4 centuries. Puerto Rico is not a footnote in American geography. It is a living, breathing argument about what it means to belong somewhere and whether belonging has ever been enough. The island is still there, still glowing in the dark, still waiting for an answer.